Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today's review is going to be about a titular character, um, very famous comic book character, right? I think you already know what it is from the title. It's a character that I feel has already gone through this tonal change and is just ripe to come back to its roots, to what its character stands for, what he stands for, and that is a light-hearted, funny sometimes, quirky, charming, charismatic, enthusiastic beacon of hope. That is Superman. That is Superman, guys. So I got to watch it yesterday. I actually did a review. I don't feel like I elaborated enough about the film, and I wanted to talk even more while also trying to keep it as short and compressed as I can. So yeah, this is my official review. Now, Superman is directed by James Gunn. This is his first, I think, film entry in this new DC Studios uh, universe that he's building, and it stars David Cornsweet as Superman, the titular golden boy, and we have Rachel Brosnahan as Lois Lane. We got Nicholas Hoult as Lex Luthor. We got a bunch of other casts that are in this film, but right off the back, I want to tell you this film was fun. It was a fun film to watch, even like not from the only popcorn moviegoer perspective, meaning like even if you don't care so much about whether it's a good story or not, you're going to have a good time in this film. Me, I care about both. Like it can be a good time and then also benefit from having a nice story and a good sort of performance, direction, all of that you get in this film. Now, disclaimer, there's going to be one thing I want to say about this film. You're either going to hate it or you're going to love it. There's not going to be an in between watching this film. You're definitely going to either be one or the other. There's no in between, because the film is a lot to take in considering the 2 hour runtime. This is a very, very fast film. I did not feel like it was 2 hours. I felt it was shorter. I contemplated buying another ticket just to go and watch it again. And so that's probably my one thing about this film that disappointed me, is that it was really too fast. Like for like a film of this caliber, like I was expecting, like it to be slightly longer, dragged a little bit, but maybe it was the censorship cuts that mostly the kissing scenes. Yeah, speaking of that, they cut off the kissing scenes in this film, mostly between Superman, Clark Kent and Lois, and I felt like usually I don't care whether the kissing scenes are cut from a film, but for the context of this narrative, I felt like that kind of disturbed the story a little bit, because these two characters have a little bit of a typical relationship re-examination of who they want to be, because they are so different from each other. Superman, Lois Lane is this very, very hardcore journalist, and so like that ideals and mindset collides, and they sort of like they bounce off each other in a very usual, like when couples fight, especially if they're too opposite of each other, but then they have to learn to accept it and sort of move on. But they don't get the time to do that, because on top of everything, you have Lex Luthor trying to kill Superman this entire film, and there's this whole subplot about a country that's under war, and that's I think the key MacGuffin of this film. Like that's what the actual plot revolves around in this entire movie, is this country, Bavaria, and Jahanpur. That was the two countries, or like states, I guess, that were at war. And Superman's got involved. Lex is not happy about it. He doesn't get the right to, decide what he wants to do. He should be controlled, blah, 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 that kind of thing. Or, just not exist entirely. So that's basically the gist of the entire film. That's the entire plot line. Everything else in between are small character development moments, and they're done really well. It's Guardians of the Galaxy's energy brought into the DCU. So I feel like this film does justice most to Superman. Like, I've missed Christopher Reeve's sort of light interpretation, the Superman animated series cartoons back in the day, and then we kind of had a little bit of a quiet sort of like period with Superman. I mean, we had Smallville. Smallville was fine. Then we had Man of Steel by Zack Snyder and his interpretation of a darker Superman, mostly thanks to Nolan because he did the Dark Knight trilogy that was also much, much darker. I mean, it was an interesting take. I'm not going to say I hate Man of Steel. I do like Man of Steel, but because it was an interesting take and it was interesting for what it was, but definitely not the Superman that everyone is used to. And this is where James Gunn has brought that character back to its roots, and in some cases also honored Zack Snyder in a way with like certain cinematography. Like, this film is so good looking in my opinion. Like, CGI aside, like, there's obvious moments where there was CGI, but like visually, film is very well shot. It's shot like a comic book, and that's what I liked about it. Like, it was as though like there were frames taken out. They were not like super artistic, but you know how comic books, they're like, they have like splits, like in not like boxes, but like, let's say it's a triangle in one corner, pentagon in one corner, that kind of like sort of shots with canted angles and all that. Like, that's in the film. It felt like a comic book movie, and I really appreciated that. The sound design is also really good in this film. Like, the punches, the action sequences, even the heat vision sound just feels more thumpier when he uses it. And it's just a joyride, this entire film. The editing was definitely, like I said, pacing was super fast. Everything just kept going. But there were moments where they just took a step back and there was just characters talking. But even those felt fast. But I think that was the idea. They didn't want to push too much of narrative and like not narrative, dialogues in this film, but they kept it as compressed as possible for the sake of the story. Like, every single dialogue had something to do with the character or what's happening in the film, and it was present in what they were talking about. You know, it was always like, what are we gonna do? How are we gonna fix this? What do you mean when you said this? That sort of dialogue. And even the jokes landed for me. I bawled. I mean, I've seen the clip online, but watching in the theater, I still bawled out when Lois tells Guy Gardner, you know, that haircut should be against your vows. And then he turns and goes, that what? That what should be what? I rolled in my seat. I had my popcorn in my hand and some of it dropped. Also, that I'd like to add something. David Cornsweet nails it as Superman. Like, I genuinely love him as Superman more than I love Cavill. Because to be fair, it's hard for me to say I loved Cavill because Cavill looks good. He looks very stoic. You know, he does have the looks to play the character, but he's never really embodied the character through and through. He's just a darker interpretation of him. David gives you that all-star Superman vibe, you know, like the very golden boy sort of like character. And he's very kind to people. He's very kind to kids. It's just awesome to see this Superman. And honestly, everyone is great here. Nicholas Hoult plays such a good Lex Luthor that I genuinely hated him every single time he popped up on screen. I wanted to throw something at the screen, right? He plays it so well. Let me note that they're all younger in this film. I think that's what that's what it is, because they all look much younger, like they were probably in their early 30s or something. So they're still like, you know, petty little children in a sense. Like Superman himself is a bit petty in the sense that, you know, like people are questioning like all the stuff he's doing when he knows that it is good. It is all about being good, and he can't accept sacrificing lives and, you know, having people just like have their rights taken away from them, that sort of thing. It does have a whole like immigration sort of like conversation there, but you know, because he's technically an immigrant because, you know, he's an alien. And I didn't feel like that was very woke. I felt like that was just on par with what his character is. The core of his character is that, you know, he stands up for people's rights. He's a beacon of hope. Like I said, he's just what people expect in a hero, and he delivers. You know, Lois Lane's also really good. Like Rachel knocks out the park. The guy who plays Jimmy Olsen is just hilarious. It's a nice like take on Jimmy Olsen. I haven't really seen much of Jimmy Olsen in like live action much, so at least for me, like I didn't watch a lot of the TV shows as well. But like this was an interesting take. I loved him. I love everyone who's having fun here. Nathan Fillion was having fun as Guy Gardner. Isabella Merced was having fun. Eddie Gathegi, like he was having fun. Redemption for him. They did him dirty in like X-Men First Class, and now we got a superhero character that he can sort of play and embody, and he does a damn good job at him. I love him. I love everyone. I love the entire cast. I love all of it. All right, it's a good time. I'm gonna be honest with you. This Superman movie is hitting all the spots for me. The pacing is probably my only complaint. But it felt like a comic book movie. It wasn't trying to be pretentious like Snyder tried to make it be. You know, he's not a Jesus-like figure. He's not a God-like figure. He's just a guy who's an alien who's just trying to prove his humanity in all aspects, and then he finds like this conflicting sort of like underlying secret about his parents that you'll have to watch in the film. By the way, Bradley Cooper is playing Jor-El. It was weird to see for me. That was a bit weird, but you know, accept it because you know he was a baby and he's probably like young at the time, so it made sense. And they spoke Kryptonian. They didn't speak English, so like the robots in the film had to translate most of the language to Superman, so that was cool. Yeah, but you know, overall, I don't want to spoil too much. The film it's so tight, right? I any plot point I try to talk about might spoil what to expect in this film, so I just don't want to do that. I want you guys to go out and enjoy this. I enjoyed this. I give Superman a 9.8 out of 10. Being genuine here, I just love the film. I'm approaching this not just critically, but like just straight up like as a comic book like fan. You know, I didn't grow up with Superman as much, but Superman did cross over with the Batman comic books that I read, because I read a lot more Batman, and Superman was always a beacon of hope. He was always the light-hearted one. He wasn't a gloomy one, so that's the Superman that we got, and I'm really happy about that. What else can I say? You know, go out and watch the film. Watch in IMAX if you can, or if you can't, watch in Dolby Atmos, because I said the sound design is really good. The biggest screen possible and the best sounding screen possible is going to benefit when you watch this film. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed that review. Let me know if you'd like to see more, and click, you know, subscribe, like, so I can keep this going. And I'll see you guys in the next video. See ya.